Hello boys and girls, a very good evening and welcome to yet another live session brought to you by TalentSprint for your upcoming SSC CGL exam. I hope your preparation is in the high gear for these exams, and I also hope our live sessions on the previous year papers of the SSC CGL exam are helping you enhance your preparation and confidence for this upcoming exam. Also, you know that the notification for SBA clerks has been released. I am pretty sure most of you would apply for it and also prepare for that exam, right? Preparation is largely similar, right? Because the curriculum is common. It's just that one of the sections is different, right? What we have as general awareness in SSC CGL exam would be banking awareness and current affairs in the SBA clerks exam. But all said and done, I think it is about practice. So keep practicing, right? Make sure that you leave no stone unturned. Let no single day pass without spending appropriate time on your preparation, right? And things then should fall in place. Now today's session is on the quantitative aptitude part of the SSC CGL exam, where we have questions from last year's papers that we are going to take up. We have already done enough sessions on this particular section of this exam, and I think the learning has been pretty simple. It's about practice, right? You have 25 questions. Each question carries 2 marks, so overall 50 marks can be scored in this section, and you can spend about 20 minutes in that 1 hour of your exam on this section. So all you have to get used to is being able to solve as many questions as possible in that limited 20 minutes of time, right? And like I've been telling you, when you practice and prepare for this exam while solving more and more questions is important. Ensure that every time you sit for practicing, you give yourself 20 minutes and see how many questions are you able to solve in those 20 minutes, right? And then, so basically repeat this whole process again, right? 20 minutes, check the number of questions and your performance. Next 20 minutes, check how many questions you're able to solve and your performance in that particular 20 minutes, and keep doing this, because it's important to get used to that time, right? Your body and your mind should get tuned to that whole race of 20 minutes that you have for this particular section. And of course, the other 40 minutes in your exam would be spent on the remaining 3 sections where you don't need as much time as you need here. So that's about the time management part of it, and I think practice would definitely help you get used to it. In terms of the curriculum, most of the topics, I mean, you can expect questions from most of the topics that we have in quantitative aptitude, right? And in my view, questions are not difficult at all, right? These are easy questions to solve. You just have to use the smartest method possible and avoid paperwork, right? Usually paperwork is what takes a lot of time. Now let's get started with the first question for the session today. This is from Profit and Loss. It's about mark price and loss and selling price, etc. I'll present this question to you all, give you about 30-45 seconds to try this out and then discuss the solution. So the question is on your screens now. It says the marked price of an article is rupees 315. Just go through this. The marked price of an article is rupees 315. It is sold for rupees 288. If there is a loss of 4%, then by what percent above the cost price is the article marked? Now, by the time you finish reading the question, you should know what the cost price is. I mean, you should be smart enough and good enough in your numerical skills to know the cost price by the time you have read the question. And once you know the cost price and the mark price anyway is given there, finding out the markup is very easy, right? By what percentage above the cost is the article marked? Let's see how many of you get it there. Alright guys, the time is up. I hope all of you have got to the answer. No response as yet in the chat. Let's take this up. What does it say? The mark price of an article is rupees 350, right? It is sold for rupees 288. If there is a loss of 4%, then by what percent above the cost is the article marked? So we know that M is 315, right? The mark price, which is usually denoted as M, that is 315. Selling price is 288, and there has been a loss of 4%. See, this loss of 4% indicates that 288 is 96% of the cost price, right? When there is a loss of 4%, selling price would be 96% of cost price, and that 96% is 288 here. So what is the cost price is the question. That's the first part, right? What is the cost price? See, simple understanding, 300 would be the cost price here. And honestly, if you ask me, I don't know how did I arrive at 300. But when I look at 288, 4%, I felt for 300, the 4% is 12. So from 300, if I subtract 12, I get to 288. Which means from 100%, if I remove 4%, I get 96%, which is 288. You understand? Now, it's hard to explain. But if you spend time on numbers on a daily basis, and improve your numerical skills, you get to these values really quick, right? Without even realizing how it happened, right? Trust me, I got to know 300 is the value of cost price by the time I finished reading the question for the first time, right? And I'm sure if I am able to do this, or if this is happening to me, it'll happen to you as well. You can also do these calculations really quick. So keep practicing and ensure that you do such simple calculations without putting pen on paper. So the point is, I know selling price is 288, which should be 96% of the cost price, and from this I can find out the cost price as 300, right? So 288 by 96, 288 by 96 is actually 3. So 300, right? That percentage gives you 100 in the denominator, that gives you the cost price 300. So I know the cost price is 300. We already know the mark price is 350. Now the question here is, by what percent above the cost is the article marked? See, what's the difference between cost price and mark price? 15 rupees, right? The difference here is 15 rupees. So article is marked 15 rupees more. By what percentage above the cost price? 15 rupees on cost price. 300 into 100. How much is that? 5% above. Again, you don't really have to write this on paper, right? This 5% calculation can be done mentally. But then answer is option 4, right? 15 rupees is the increment in the cost price. I mean, not increment in the cost price. The cost price is 300. It has been marked as 315. So you have marked it up by 15 rupees. And the mark price with respect to cost price is 5%. I mean, marked up by 5%, right? 15 on 300 is 5%. So that's your answer. In my view, it should not take more than 15 seconds to get to this option 4 in this particular question. Yeah. Let's take up the next one. This is on compound interest, a very interesting topic, and I think usually we get one question from compound interest in the SSC CGL exams, right? I mean, I've seen almost every paper having one question on interest, preferably on compound interest. So let's see how many of you get the answer here. It says the compound interest on a certain sum in 2.5 years at 10% per annum, interest compounded yearly is 1623. The sum is. So if you see, we have been given the time 2.5 years, we have been given the rate of interest 10% per annum. We have also been given that it is a compounding process and it is a yearly compounding, and the compound interest in this case is 1623. So the sum is, meaning the principal is P is equal to what? Now there is a formula for compound interest, right, which is Ci equals to P into 1 plus R by 100 whole raised to the power of T, and then you can take maybe P common. So you know what is Ci, you know what is R, you know what is T. Use the formula and find out what is the value of the principal, right? What's the principal amount? But it's a clumsy process. We don't follow this. I mean, we don't want to use this. It's going to take a lot of time if you go by the formula. Instead, use the effective percentage method. See, the point is here, and by the way, this time period in this case is not an integer value, right? It's not an integral value. It is 2.5 years, 2.5. So something raised to the power of 2.5 is going to get even more complex. Of course, there are ways to handle it. There are ways to handle it using a special formula, but we do not want to depend on the formula at all. So let's try and solve the same question without using any formula. See, the point is simple. There is a total time period of 2.5 years, right? Let's say this is 0th year, this is 2.5 year. So first year and then second year. Let's say this is first year, this is second year. So this is You understand? 0th year, first year, second year, and 2.5 years. Now, what is the rate of interest? 10% per annum. So every year 10%. Here it is 10% for the first year. For the second year, from first year to second year also it will be 10%. But for the third part, in this whole timeline of 2.5 years, we have divided into 3 parts. 1 year, and half a year. Right? So 10% per annum. So 10 here, 10 here. For the half year, it is going to be 5%. Right? For this half year, it is going to be 5%. Now, all you need to look at is 3 percentage values. Find out the effective percentage. Right? Compound interest is nothing but the effective of all these 3 percentages. How do you get effective percentage? See, the effective percentage formula, we have discussed this, and we have also understood that this is a very, very useful technique and useful method to solve many types of questions. CI is one of them, right? CI is one of those type of questions. Effective percentage is A plus B plus AB by 100%, where A and B are 2 percentage values. Now, don't ask me what is the formula for 3 values. Whether there are 2 values or 3 values or 30 values, effective percentage remains A plus B plus AB by 100. All you have to do is take 2 values at a time. Get the effective percentage. Then this effective percentage can be used with the third value to get the new effective percentage. Right? There is no special formula for 3 years or for 4 years. Yeah. Now you may say this appears to be even more complex, right? You have to use the formula twice. Try it yourself. Use this formula twice versus the compound interest formula once and see what gives you the answer faster. It's all about getting used to it, and at least the first step is very simple, right? 10 and 10, I know the effective percentage is 21. Alright, so without having to put pen on paper, for the first 2 years I know the CI is going to be 21%. 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100. 10 into 10 by 100 is 100 by 100, 1. So we have 10 plus 1, 21%. So the point is, for these 2 years, for the first 2 years, the effective percentage is 21. Now on 21 and 5%, again you need to use the effective percentage formula. Try that. So what do we get? 21 plus 5 plus 21 into 5 by 100. This is going to be the CI for 3 years. This is going to be the compound interest for 3 years. Right? Use the same formula. A becomes 21, B becomes 5. So 21 plus 5 plus 21 into 500. Now 21 times 5 is 105. 105 upon 100 is 1.05. So 21 plus 5, 26 plus 1.05, 27.05%. So basically, the compound interest, instead of using this formula, I can say the compound interest is 27.05%. And that is equivalent to 1623 according to the question, right? The interest compounded yearly. I mean, the compound interest on this sum is 1623. That 27% is equivalent to 1623. What is the sum? Sum meaning principal. Now, if you have gone through our videos on CI and SI, you would know that principal should always be considered as 100%. For this principal amount, 27% is 1623. Principal is 100%. So cross multiply. Now it's a simple equation, right? 27% is equal to 1623. Sorry. 27% is equal to 1623. 100% is equal to what? 100% is equal to what? Cross multiply and get the answer. I mean, again, you don't really have to fulfill the calculation in my view, right? It is approximately 4 times. I mean, not very accurate though, but approximately 4 times. 27 into 4 is 108. 27 into 4 is 108. So if I multiply this by 4, I'll get something close to 100%. 1600 into 4, 6400. 23 into 4, 92. So 6492, somewhere around 6500. But then that is 108%. What I want is only 100%. It should be less than 6500. And the only option which is close to 6500 and less than 6500 is option 2, 6000. So I think you can mark option 2 as the answer. I mean, you can also try precise calculation and see if you're actually getting 6000 or not. But in my view, answer should be less than 6492. And it should be closer to that. So 6000 seems to be the appropriate value, right? 27.05% is 1623. Yeah. So that's the answer, right? Something that appeared to be complex, even if you use a regular formula, can be made very easy, or can be rather solved very easily if you use smart methods. And the smart method to deal with CI in my view is effective percentage, A plus B plus AB by 100%, right? You don't have to worry about that half year or quarter of a year or 8 months, whatever be the time period. get appropriate percentage. For 1 year, if it is 10%, for a half year, it's going to be 5%. For a quarter year, it's going to be, for 1 quarter, it's going to be 2.5%. For 8 months, it will be 2/3 of 5%, right? So 3.33%, let's say. So just take the percentage for that particular left out period and apply the effective percentage formula. Okay. So that's the solution to this question. Let's move on. The next one is on profit and loss again. Let's see how many of you get this right. What does it say? Renu bought an article for rupees 1240 and sold it at a loss of 25%. With this amount, she bought another article and sold it at a gain of 40%. Her overall percentage profit is, again, an interesting one. She bought an article for 1240, sold it at a loss of 25%. With this amount, she bought another article and sold it at a gain of 40%. Her overall percentage profit is. How do you deal with this? See, she has spent 1240 rupees initially, right? So that's her original cost price, let's say. She spent, the cost of the article was 1240. She sold it at a loss of 25%. So what should be the selling price? I'll say selling price 1 and selling price 2 because there are 2 transactions here, right? So original cost price C1 is 1240. She sold it at a loss of 25%. So what should be the selling price? See, it should be only 75% of this. Or remove 1/4 from 1240. You're getting it? 25% is the loss. Selling price will be 75%. 75% of 1240. Now either take 75% of 1240, which is 3/4 of 1240, or remove 1/4 from 1240, you will get the same answer. So what is 1/4 of 1240? It will be 310. Yes or no? 1240 by 4. 1200 by 4 is 300. 40 by 4 is 10. So 310 is the 25% equivalent, right? This is equivalent to 310. So what should be the selling price? 1240 minus 310. That should be 930. So selling price is 930. Now look at this. With this amount, now this amount meaning this 930 rupees. She sold it at a loss of 25%. So when she sells at a loss of 25%, she gets 930 rupees. With this amount, she bought another article, which means this 930 itself is the cost of the second article. Cost of the first article was 1240. It comes down to 930 because of the loss. Now with this value that she has at hand, she buys another article. So cost of the second article is 930 and sold it at a gain of 40%. Her profit this time is 40%. Her profit this time is 40%. 40% of what? The cost price. So 40% of 930. 40% of 930. What is 40% of 930? 10% is 93. 40% will be 360 plus 12, which is 372. So what is the selling price? New selling price? Selling price is cost price plus profit. So 930 plus 372. So 900 plus 300, 1200, 30 plus 72 is 102, which is 1302. So if you see, she spent 1240 initially and she ended up getting 1302. So what is the overall percentage profit? What is the overall percentage profit? What is the profit? You know the selling price, you know the cost price. Remember, selling price, the selling price of the second item and the cost price of the first item, because he's asking us to get the overall profit percentage. So overall profit percentage is going to be 1302 minus 1240 upon 1240. Selling price minus cost price by cost price into 100. I mean, traditional way of solving the question, right? That's the formula to be used. So 1240 difference 1302 is what? It is 62. So 62 upon 1240. 62 upon 1240. How much will that be? See, 10% is 12.4. Sorry, 1% is 12.4. 5% will be 62. Yes or no? 124 is 10%. Half of 124 is 62. So half of 10% basically. So this is 5%. Answer is 5%. I'm sorry. Yeah. 5% is the answer. Option 3. 5% is the answer. But then, waste of time. absolute waste of time. 5% is the correct answer, no doubts about it. But do we really have to do all that? No. Just use the concept of effective percentage. Initially, there was a loss of 25%. In the next step, there is a profit of 40%. What is the overall profit? Use A plus B plus AB by 100. Now, what is A plus B plus AB by 100? Effective percentage. What is A? See, A refers to that loss of 25%. So, it should be taken as minus 25. And we had discussed this. Whenever there is a drop in the value or there is a loss, there is a reduction, use it with a negative sign, right? So, A will be minus 25. What is B? Plus 40. There's a profit, plus 40. Apply A plus B plus AB by 100 and try solving this question. So instead of doing all this drama, let's just use effective percentage. So minus 25, A plus B plus AB by 100. I don't have to write the formula on paper in the exam. I'm just writing it for your reference here, right? A plus B plus AB by 100 should be the answer. So minus 25 plus 40 plus minus 25 into 40 by 100. A plus B plus AB by 100. So how much is this? See, this is 4 times. This is 10 times. So minus 10 basically. So 40 minus 25 minus 10. Minus 25 minus 10 is minus 35. 40 minus 35 is 5. Did you get plus 5 or minus 5? You've got plus 5. Yes or no? Plus 5. Meaning this is a profit. How much profit? 5% profit. Option 3 is the answer. Now compare this solution with this one. What is the advantage of using effective percentage here? We did not have to deal with those values like 1240, 930, that 372, and then 1302, 62 on 1240. All those numbers do not come in the picture at all. Just using the 2% is given to you, initial loss and the final profit, you can get the overall profit. If any of those percentages were not given, then we would have followed this process. And of course, in that case, some other value would have been given to us. But when both the percentages are given, why do we have to deal with this values? So the point here is, irrespective of what the initial cost price is, whether it is 1240 or 960 or 2000 or whatever be that number, in this scenario where you have initially made a loss of 25% followed by a profit of 40% without any change in the values, right? So whatever selling price you have after making a loss of 25%, the entire value is used for getting the article. If there is a change here, then the formula will not be applicable. Yeah. So that whole value that you get by selling the article initially is used to buy another article, and then you do one more transaction, then effective percentage can be used. In fact, it doesn't stop here. Let's say after getting 40%, you get the value. With that value, you buy one more article and sell it at a different value at some profit or loss. Even in that case, the overall profit can be calculated using, overall profit or loss can be calculated using effective percentage formula. A plus B plus AB by 100. It's just that there would be 3 values, 3 percentages. Like in this case, first percentage is loss of 25, so minus 25%. Second percentage is profit 40, so plus 40. Let's say the third one is a profit of 10, so plus 10. So minus 25, plus 40 and plus 10. Apply effective percentage in sets of 2, right? And there is no rule that you have to take the first 2 values in the first step and then the third value in the second step. No, you apply that in whichever order you want to, right? Whether I take minus 25 and 40 first, or 40 and 10 first, or minus 25 and 10 first, and of course the left out value in the next step. Irrespective of whatever be the sequence, you get the same answer, right? You'll get the same final answer. So effective percentage is a very powerful method of solving a lot of questions. Simple and compound interest, profit and loss. You can use it in time and distance, you can use it in percentages, you can use it in data interpretation, you can use it in pipes and systems, you can use it in time and work, you can use it in mensuration. You should know where to apply. And all that has been discussed. Where to apply has been discussed in a video. So please follow the videos and get your basics right. You don't have to depend on any sort of shortcut formula, right? Moving on, the next question on your screens is going to be from a very interesting topic, mensuration. And this really is something that you can relate to, right? I mean, like profit and loss. These are transactions that we see on a daily basis, so you can easily follow. Likewise, mensuration, where you are changing shapes of 3D objects and all, you can visualize it very easily, right? So unlike trigonometry, I mean, trigonometry, you do not know where you use it actually. Generally, that's the view, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can solve the answer, but most of us do not know where to apply trigonometry or where is it applicable. But topics like simple and compound interest, profit and loss, time and distance, or mensuration for that matter, are things that we see around us. Anyway, the question is on your screens now. Let's see how many of you get this right. How much iron sheet in meter square will be needed to construct a rectangular tank measuring 10 meter by 8 meter by 6 meter if a circular opening of radius 1 meter is to be left at the top of the tank? This should be corrected to 1 decimal place. Now that's an interesting one. Let's see how many of you get it right. How much iron sheet will be needed to construct a rectangular tank measuring 10 meter by 8 meter by 6 meter if a circular opening of radius 1 meter is to be left at the top of the tank? 15 more seconds and then we'll take it up. Alright guys, the time is up. Let's take this question now. So how much iron sheet in meter square will be needed to construct a rectangular tank measuring 10 meter by 8 meter by 6 meter if a circular opening of radius 1 meter is to be left at the top of the tank, right? Now it's all about visualizing the whole the 3D figure here, right? There is a rectangular sheet, plain rectangular sheet. How much of this sheet would be needed to make a rectangular tank? So you know that the sheet has to be folded, there will be 6 faces on a rectangular tank. But then there has to be an opening at the top of the rectangular tank of radius 1 meter. So basically, if you forget about the opening on top for some time, you just need to make a rectangular box out of a sheet. How much of that sheet will be needed is nothing but the sheet used for making this box, a rectangular tank. So in simple words, he is asking you to find out the total surface area. See, there are 6 surfaces in the rectangular tank. Find out the area of each surface, sum it up. Basically the total surface area. That much iron sheet would be needed, right? He's asking us to get the iron sheet in meter square. So he's asking us to get the surface area. Do that first. Now from this total area that you get, total surface area that you get, subtract a circle of radius 1 meter. I mean area needed for a circle of radius 1 meter, because that will be cut out. So that much sheet is not needed, right? That piece of sheet is not needed. As simple as that. So the total surface area of the cuboid, a rectangular tank is like a cuboid. So total surface area of a cuboid minus the area of a circle of radius 1 meter. And you're done. Let's try this out. I am sure all of you were able to visualize, but just in case you were not, let me draw this diagram for you, right? This is like a rectangular box that we're using. Please do not do this in the exam. You're not gonna get awarded extra marks for this, so makes no sense really. And there is a circular opening on the top. This is a rectangular box. Find out the total surface area, and the size of the box is what? 10 by 8 by 6. So let's say 10 meter length, 8 meter width, and 6 meter height. Yeah, and the radius of this is what? 1 meter. Did you say 1 meter? Circular opening of radius 1 meter. Yes, this is 1 meter, right? So the required area, right? How much iron sheet in meter square is basically the area required, right? So area required is the TSA of cuboid. This is like a cuboid, right? The rectangular box minus area of the circle. Simple. Now, what is total surface area of a cuboid? You should know these formulae, right? Mensuration is one topic which has a lot of formulas, so you should remember these formulae, right? Total surface area of a cuboid is what? 2 times of LB plus BH plus HL, right? 2 times of LB plus BH plus HL, right? So 6 faces, or basically 3 pairs of faces, right? This is LB, the back face is also LB, the side face is BH, this face is BH, this is LH, this is LH, the back one is also LH. Yeah, so do that. 2 times of LB plus BH plus HL minus area of the circle, which is pi r square. Substitute the values on 2 times of LB plus BH plus, so 10 into 8 plus 8 into 6 plus 6 into 10 minus pi is 22 by 7. R square is 1 square anyways. Yeah, so 80 6 8 is 48 and this is 60, so 140 plus 48 168. You're getting it? 80 plus 60 140, 140 plus 48 is 188. Yeah, 188 times 2, so that's like 376. 376 minus 22 by 7 is 3. I mean, this is 1 anyways. 22 by 7 is 3. 3.14 to be precise. So 376 minus 3, or 3.1. Since you said corrected to 1 decimal place, you can take it as 3.1 itself. So 376 minus 3.1 will be 372.9, which is option 3. Yeah. Now, all I would ask you guys to avoid in the exam is these steps. Do not write unnecessary steps on paper. Like, you don't have to write the formula on paper. This is only for your understanding, right? You don't have to draw a diagram. Please don't do this in the exam. Waste of time. You can visualize this, I'm sure. You don't have to write this in the exam. Also, you don't have to write this in the exam. 10 into 8, 8 into 6, 6 into 10. You can straight away start with 80 plus 48 plus 60 minus whatever that is. Yeah. So the key lies in cutting down the number of steps that you put on paper, right? The more you write on paper, the more time it takes, right? So cut down the unnecessary steps, keep it simple, and save your precious time. Okay. So that was this question on mensuration. Let's move on. Take up the next one. Okay, the next one is again from a topic in arithmetic aptitude. This is an average, the topic of average, which is again a very interesting one. Let's see how many of you get this right. The average weight of certain number of students in a class is 68.5 kgs. Of course, we do not know what that certain number is, right? So average weight of certain number of students in a class is 68.5 kg. 4 new students having so and so weights, such and such weights, 72.2, 70.8, 70.3 and 66.7 join the class. Then the average weight of all the students increases by 300 grams. The number of students in the class initially is. Try this out. Got it? Average weight of certain number of students in a class is 68.5 kgs. 4 new students having these weights join the class, and the average of all the students increased by 300 grams. I honestly do not want you guys to use any formula for solving such questions. These are all simple additions and subtractions that you need to do. You just need to know the basic concept of average. Then there is no need to use any special formula or any type of formula here. Done? Okay, I think enough time has been spent. Let's take this up now. Look at what the question says. Average weight of a certain number of students in a class is 68.5 kgs. Right? Average weight is 68.5. If 4 new students having weights 72.2, 70.8, 70.3 and 66.7 join the class, then the average weight of all the students increases by 300 grams. The number of students in the class initially is. So it is like this. Initially there are X students, let's assume. Right, the average of these X students is 68.5, and then we have got student 1, I mean one additional student whose weight is 72.2, then there's one student whose weight is 70.8, there's a third student whose weight is 70.3, right, and there's a fourth one whose weight is what, 66.7. These guys join this group, right? When that happens, the average weight of the entire class, the whole class, increases by 300 grams. So what was 68.5 now becomes 68.5 plus 0.3. See, 300 grams is 0.3 kgs. Everything else here is in kgs. So let's consider this also in kgs, right? 0.3 kgs. So what is the value of X on this grounds? Now what is the value of X is the question. Now, instead of using any type of average formula, all I would try and do here is find out how many extra kgs are getting added to the group. See, if you have gone by the basic concepts of average that we have discussed, we have learned that average is an equal distribution, right? You take everything, distribute equally, so the amount that each person gets is what is the average amount. Yeah, it is not necessary that every person has the same amount. Actual values may be different, right? It may be more or less, or maybe same, but average in simple words is an equal distribution. Collect everything and then divide it equally, right? It's a very, very socialist kind of concept, right? Everybody should be treated fair, equal, right? That's the idea. So now in this basic concept of average, we have also learned that if let's say there are 20 guys and they've got 40 rupees on an average or 35 rupees on an average. There are 20 students in class, they've got 35 rupees on an average. If the 21st person joins, if he has got same 35 rupees, average does not change. When will the average change? If he has got more than 35 or less than 35, right? Suppose the 21st guy comes with 100 rupees, but the average of the class is 35. He's got extra amount, right? 65 rupees extra. Now this 65 extra will get divided equally among all the guys. Initial 20 guys plus this one guy. So obviously their average would increase. If he comes with less than 35 rupees, the 21st guy, let's say if he has only 10 rupees, when he tries to join the group, he'll not be allowed. Why? He's not balanced there, right? These guys on an average have 35. He has got only 10 rupees. So there will be a loss to the group. Everybody in the group will contribute something to him in such a way that all of them eventually will have the same value. So that's how average plays out, right? Now, instead of using any type of average formula and all, in this case, what we'll try to do is, see if all these 4 students, S1, S2, S3, S4 had the same 68.5 kgs weight, average would not get impacted. Original average is 68.5 for the group. 4 guys have joined, 68.5, 68.5, 68.5 and 68.5. No impact at all, right? They will not change the balance of the group. Here the balance would get changed because they are coming with different values. So all we will try to find out is what is the difference that they carry. It can be more or less, but what is the total difference that they carry? Yeah. So try and do that. So if you see 72 is actually 68.5 plus how much additional? 68.5 plus what is the extra value here? You're getting it. 72. If I take difference with 68.5, I'll get 3.7, right? 3.7. So this is 3.7 plus 3.7. S1 comes with plus 3.7. S2, find out S2. 68.5 and 70.8. What is the difference? 1.5 and 0.8, 2.3 plus 2.3. Right? 68.5 and 70.3. What's the difference? 68.5 and 70.3, 1.8 plus 1.8. You're getting it? This third student has got 1.8 kgs more than the average. Second student has got 2.3 more kgs more than the average. First student has 3.7 more kgs than the average. And if you look at the last student, he's got less. How much less? Minus. Because of him, we'll have a loss. How much? Instead of 68.5, he has only 66.7. Minus 1.8. Yes or no? Minus 1.8. Now, what is the total net change? Here's plus 3.7, plus 2.3, plus 1.8, minus 1.8. What is the overall change in the value? See, plus 1.8 and minus 1.8 gets cancelled. How much extra do we have? 3.7 and 2.3, which is equal to 6 kgs. Which means these 4 guys together, when they joined the group, they had the average of 68.5, but they brought extra 6 kgs to the group. Extra 6 kgs to the group. Now divide the 6 kgs by 0.3. See, what did the question tell us? It tells us that the average weight of the students increases by 0.3 kgs. So if I divide 6 by 0.3 kgs, what happens? How much will this be? 20. Meaning, if 0.3 kgs is given to 20 students, then the total becomes 6 kgs. So all I'm trying to find out is I have 6 kgs extra. I should divide this 6 kgs in how many students such that each student gets 0.3 kgs extra. All the students in the group, see, remember these 4 S1, S2, S3, S4 students were given entry to the class. How were they given entry to the class? Already the class had 68.5 as an average. I looked at student 1, I said your weight is 72.2, give 3.7 kgs to me, with the balance 68.5 kgs, go into the class. Now of course, weight cannot be given like I am talking here. Assume it is amount. You have 72.2 rupees, give me 3.7 rupees, with the remaining 68.5 rupees, get into the class. Second student, you have 70.8 rupees. You should only have 68.5 rupees, with the balance 2.3 rupees you give it to me, and 68.5, enter the class. The third student comes. I see he has got 1.8 rupees extra. I'll say give 1.8 rupees to me. You get into the class with 16.5. Now this fourth poor fellow comes, right? He's poor. He says, I have less amount. If I have to give him entry to the class, I should give him 1.8 rupees from my pocket. So whatever I have collected, right, from S1, S2, S3, from that I'll give 1.8 rupees to him. Okay, Baba, you take 1.8 rupees and get into the class. Now I am left with 6 kgs. The 6 kgs should be divided among all the students now. Remember, there were X initially plus 4 students now. These 4 also should get part of this share. Now the question tells me that I could give 0.3 rupees extra to all of them. 0.3 kgs extra, right? Their average increased by 0.3. So all of them had 68.5. I gave 0.3 kgs, 0.3 kgs, 0.3 kgs, 0.3 kgs. How many 0.3 kgs will give you 6 kgs? 20 times 0.3 is 6. Meaning I could divide the 6 kgs in 20 students. That's when I get 0.3 extra per student, right? So there were 20 students in the class. I gave 0.3 to each one of them, and that's how the 6 kg got balanced, because I cannot carry their weight. I should give it back to the group. Everything should be divided. I told you equal distribution. So 20 students. Now the question tells us the number of students in the class initially. The actual question is how many students were there in the class initially. 20 is the new number. Initially there were only 16, right? Because 4 are new. So your answer to this question would be 16, which is option 1. Option 1, 16 is the answer. Please do not go by the amount of time that we have spent in solving this. I know we have spent way too much time, but you would not be doing all this in the exam, right? In the exam, what you'll do is find out the total difference. It can be positive or negative, and divide the difference equally among the students. Get the answer. Now, he can ask the question in different formats, right? I mean, he can ask you to find out initial number of students or new number of students, or what will be the increment per student, or what will be the decrement per student, or what will be the new average. Whatever be the final question, the last line of it, the concept remains the same. Average is an equal distribution. Just be fair to all of them and you'll get the right answer. Yeah. So 16 students is the answer. Initially there were 16 students. Yeah. Chalo, I think we are running short on time. Let's quickly take up 1 or 2 more questions before we close the session. Okay. Next one on your screens now is on time and work. Try this. The ratio of efficiencies of A, B and C is 4:5:3. Working together, they can complete that work in 25 days. A and C together will complete 35% of the work in how many days? The ratio of efficiencies of A, B and C is 4:5:3. Working together, they can complete that work in 25 days. A and C together will complete 35% of that work in how many days? Got it? All right, let's take up the next one. Here we go. What does it say? The ratio of efficiencies of A, B and C is 4:5:3, right? There are 3 persons. Their efficiencies are 4:5:3, right? Working together, they can complete that work in 25 days. Working together, they can complete the work in 25 days. A and C together will complete 35% of that work in how many days? 10 days or 12 days or 18 days or 15 days. Now, how do you go about this? See, the one very important concept that you should know from the topic of time and work is that efficiency is reciprocal of the number of days. This efficiency and number of days are inversely related to each other, right? Now here the efficiency is given as 4:5:3. It's like 4x, 5x and 3x. A's efficiency is 4x, B's efficiency is 5x, C's efficiency is 3x. Meaning, now we are not really worried about what the value of x is, but if I have to talk in absolute terms, I'll say A has got a capacity of 4x. He can do 4x work in one day. B can do 5x work in one day. C can do 3x work in one day. Now working together, all three of them, when they work together, they can complete their work in 25 days. See, when all three work together, and you also know the definition of efficiency, right? Efficiency is what? Amount of work done in one day. So A's efficiency is 4x, meaning A can do 4x work in one day. B does 5x work in one day. C does 3x work in one day. So when they are working together, what will be the total work done in one day? 4x plus 5x plus 3x. So 4 plus 5, 9 plus 3, 12. So when they are working together, the total efficiency is 12x. Meaning in one day they can do 12x work. They were able to complete the work in 25 days. So basically, if I go by this concept, it tells me that 12x efficiency 12x gave what? 1/25. 12x is equivalent to 1/25. Total efficiency is 1 by number of days, right? 12x gives 1/25. 25 is what number of days that they take. Now, if A and C work together, they will complete 35% of that work in how many days? Now, for a moment, forget about 35% of the work. Forget about 35% of the work. Just forget about this for some time. Now the question becomes very simple. A, B, C together can do the work in 25 days. A and C together, when B is not there, A and C together will complete the work in how many days? See, when only A and C are working, what will be the total efficiency? 4x and 3x, 7x. So if 12x corresponds to 1/25, 7x will correspond to what? 7x would correspond to what? Whatever value we get here will give you the 1 by number of days, and from there you can get the number of days anyways, right? Are you able to follow? 12x efficiency gave us 1/25. 7x efficiency will give us what? Cross multiply now. Cross multiply to get the value. Question mark is equal to what? 7x into 1/25 divided by 1/12x, which gets multiplied here. Sorry, divided by 12x, not multiplied by, yeah. 7x into 1/25 divided by 12x. So what happens now? X and x gets cancelled. This is 7/25 into 12. 25 into 12. Now don't simplify this, right? So I know that this question mark is 7/25 into 12. Now 7/25 into 12 is what? I mean, this is the number of days required. This is not the number of days. This is 1 by the number of days required. Remember? 1 by number of days corresponds to this. So can you tell me number of days required by A and C together will be what? Days required by A and C together. Days required by A and C together will be, see, days is in the denominator, right? So 25 into 12 by 7. 25 into 12 by 7. This is equivalent to 1 by number of days. You're able to follow. In simple words, I can maybe say this is 1 by 7. Yes or no? I can take that 7 in the denominator here. So basically 1 by number of days corresponds to 1/25 into 12 by 7. So I guess the number of days required by A and C together is 25 into 12 by 7. But then we need to find out the time required by A and C only for 35% of the work. Only for 35% of the work. This is the time required for full work. For 35% of the work, how much time is required? So for 100% work, they need this. For 35% of the work, they'll need only 35% of the time. So your final answer is going to be 35%, which is 35 by 100 into 25 into 12 by 7. So this is 5 times, this goes 4 times, this here goes 3 times, 5 times 3, 15 days will be the answer. For 35% of the work, they'll take 15 days. See, it takes time, and I'm explaining it to you. When you do it yourself, this is going to be very, very straightforward, right? First, get the number of days required by A and C. Don't simplify the value. I mean, it's not required, because eventually you need to find out only 35% of that value. So first write everything properly and then do the simplification in the last step. So A and C together would take whatever 25 into 12 by 7 days. For 35% of the work, they will take only 35% of that time. simplify to get the answer. So that's the question on time and work, and I think with this we'll close it here. There are more questions actually, and most of these questions that I have not solved today are similar to what we have been doing, right? I mean, mostly on algebra and trigonometry and geometry. However, when we meet in the next session, maybe we'll focus more on these topics: trigonometry, algebra, geometry, etc. But then you just continue to practice, right? Practice is the only shortcut. I see some questions here or some messages from Bhagat. Okay, Bhagat actually says, are you able to see my questions? Well, yes, I am able to see your question. You say IBPS clerks means exam low first 8 topic at MJL. All right. Yeah, I think that question is on the IBPS clerks mains exam about the time management there. What should you start with? But as far as I know, the IBPS clerks mains exam will have a definite time for each section, and they will appear in a particular sequence. So you'll have to just go by that sequence. You don't have a choice there. Yeah. Anyways, any exam practice will help you maximize your score. Practice in the right set of conditions, right? Like especially when you get to know that your exam is on so and so date at so and so time. A very important technique to be remembered is, let's say if your exam is on at 4 p.m. what you should ideally do 2-3 weeks before the exam is every day at 4 p.m. try to take the exam. I mean a practice exam, a mock exam, right? It's not just about solving a paper, it's about solving a paper in a similar condition, right? The way you would perform at 8 a.m. differs from what you can do at 12 p.m., 12 noon or 4 p.m., right? So if you already know that your exam is at 4 p.m., try and practice at 4 p.m. Take a mock exam at 4 p.m. every day. Or if your exam is at 8 a.m., try and take a mock exam at 8 a.m. every day, because you're tuning yourself to that condition for that particular day, and it really helps, right? So I think that's one suggestion that I would give you for your exam on 19th. All the very best to all of you, and yeah, even for others who have their SSC CGL exam, keep practicing. I'm sure you'll do well in the exam. I'll meet you all in the next session. Until then, to take good care of yourselves. Bye.